Welcome to Defining Community Engagement, a quick summary of what the Indiana Arts Commission means when we talk about community engagement and why we think it's important in the arts. We'll review some examples of community engagement that have worked well in the past, and hopefully this will help you complete your grant applications this year with the community in mind. Our big picture goal is to embed the arts in community, particularly through community engagement. We know that arts providers working with the community is good for the community and good for the arts provider. Working with the community increases the relevancy, network, and overall sustainability of artistic pursuits. We want the arts to thrive in Indiana, because when the arts thrive, communities thrive, and when communities thrive, so does Indiana. So where does this come up? This idea that when the arts thrive, communities thrive, and Indiana thrives comes up in all of our programs. We are looking for an active, two-way, and ongoing relationship between the applicant and the community in the planning, participation, and evaluation of the proposed activities, whether those activities are for project support or organizational support. And we're looking for an effort towards community inclusion, such as ensuring fair access and a diversity of participants, including individuals with disabilities and other underserved populations. This makes the arts a central part of every community. Because community engagement is such an important component of our new strategic plan, you'll see this phrase in lots of places: on our website, in our grant programs and applications, and in our educational opportunities. All of our grant programs require community engagement. And specifically for arts organizations or arts providers, this means the arts organization support, arts project support, and the Arts in the Parks and Historic Sites programs. We also encourage you to think about community engagement in everything you do creatively in Indiana. It really does work. At its best, community engagement is an active, two-way, meaningful, and ongoing relationship between the arts provider and a specific community. This comes in many forms and at many levels. In fact, we have a ladder that illustrates those levels that you can access in your application. What we're looking for is a level of community engagement that goes beyond offering activities. Essentially, it's about working with the community, not for the community. It involves interaction with the community on an ongoing basis in planning, participation, and evaluation. Rather than just assuming you know what the community wants or needs, with community engagement, you work with the community to understand what they need and why they need it so you can better plan for it. You seek to encourage participation in your work from all members of the community, and you check in to see how you did and how you are doing through candid evaluations. The community is more likely to be part of what you do and benefit from it if developing relationships through this level of engagement is part of your process. We do want to make sure to distinguish community engagement from public benefit. All community engagement provides a public benefit, but not all public benefit rises to the level of community engagement. Public benefit can be passive. Public art makes our communities more vibrant. Public performances make our communities more interesting. An organization that provides a space for the public to engage with art is important. Those are all benefits. But public art, performances, and programming built on interactive conversations with the community, or unveiled to highlight specific stories from the people they serve, or built to be an essential part of a community, that's more active. That's community engagement. The public plays a larger role in the creation process and evaluation of the art through active engagement. And as a result, it means more. The community engagement work we're looking for is active. It requires work and time. Art naturally creates a public benefit simply by existing, and art providers help provide that benefit to the public. But art and art providers that include community engagement, it's different. It's deeper. The Miller Beach Arts and Creative District's biennial Lake Effect Public Art Festival is an all-inclusive event featuring 60 artists, both well-known artists and up-and-comers, painting the walls of local businesses and selling their work. It also includes live bands and children's workshops. Lake Effect showcases the city and supports the local business economy. It energizes public spaces, but it wouldn't work without community engagement throughout the process, especially during the planning part. To develop and implement such a large-scale, multifaceted festival, this organization had to get buy-in and approval from business owners for artists to create a public piece on their walls. This required lots of conversations and lots of trust, both of which are a core part of community engagement. And by the way, lots of organizations are already doing this. But the people reading your grant applications don't always know about the engagement piece of your work. Make sure to tell us about how you are, or how you will, engage the community. Don't assume we or the panelists know your process. This doesn't mean you need to run out and develop a new program. It just means that sometimes we are so embedded in what we do in community engagement that we forget to talk about it or share it in a grant application. Tell us so we can fully appreciate the ways you serve in and participate in the community. So how can you work more directly with the community in a meaningful way? Make sure the engagement is ongoing. Don't wait for the end of a project or a culminating event to engage the community. We see lots of public benefit at the end, and that's great. But true, deep community engagement happens throughout everything an organization does and all aspects of a project. It could be hosting community conversations or documenting observations at the very beginning of something. It could be opening the creation process to the community through open rehearsals or other deliberate events to gather their feedback. It could be casting from the community or inviting the community to actively participate in the creation. It could even mean offering a community conversation to share and test ideas. Dance Kaleidoscope does this with a unique dance program called Turning Points, which is a model of community engagement. The premise of this model is that Dance Kaleidoscope dancers work one-on-one with about 10 participants to learn each person's story. Then they create an original dance work based on that story. The series of dances or stories are all performed together in a culminating experience, which is open to friends, family, and the public. Over 10 years, Dance Kaleidoscope has replicated this program numerous times to tell the stories of Girl Scouts, seniors, Holocaust survivors, incarcerated youth, veterans, and people living with disabilities. But central to the program is a partnership with a social service or nonprofit entity that serves the participants. The ability to tell these stories with integrity, grace, beauty, and sometimes heartbreak is a distinct skill of Dance Kaleidoscope's professional dancers. Their ability to make connections with the individuals and then choreograph their stories is a skill that has been honed and cultivated over time. Through this work, Dance Kaleidoscope doesn't just educate and expose new audiences to dance, inspire future dancers. They help provide avenues for growth. This is ongoing, meaningful community engagement. Evaluation is part of ongoing community engagement as well, both at the end of a project and as part of your ongoing organizational activities. Think about how you can engage the community to understand if your work is effectively serving who you want it to serve. Theater 7 is a professional theater company in Terre Haute, and they took poems written by middle schoolers and created a musical play using their words, and they toured it to schools and centers in the area. Each performance was followed with counselor-led discussions. The culminating performance was built on the students' words, but it didn't end there. The discussions and affirmations of hearing their own words spoken from the stage was incredible for the students. Jim Edwards of Reeves Youth Center says, "I have worked with lost children for over 30 years. Many children grow up feeling lost, labeled, and inferior. This work speaks directly to those children. After Theater 7's performance, many children spoke to me about what they witnessed. Words such as touching and important were often used. It was clear to me that after watching it, our children felt that they were not alone and that they could have a voice in this world." This is a clear evaluation process at the end that underscores the effectiveness of the engagement. And that, of course, is the point of community engagement. Arts providers seek to involve the community in all they do, including making opportunities available to those they serve. But as you develop intentional collaborations with the community and establish lasting relationships through these works, the arts become central and essential to the community and to the lives of all Indiana's citizens. So that's community engagement, active two-way interaction that deepens the quality and meaning of the project through planning, participation, and evaluation. But how do you know who the community is? Defining the community begins with the arts organization or provider. You get to define your community or communities. We do not expect each project will serve everyone. That would be a lot of work and maybe even impossible. But we do expect you to know which community or communities you engage or you aim to engage. And when you do, it's important to focus on underserved populations in your work. What do we mean by underserved? The IAC defines this as people lacking access to arts programs, services, or resources due to isolated geographic location, low income, age, race or ethnicity, cultural differences, disability, or other circumstances. Identify the specific community you want to serve and demonstrate some thoughtfulness in figuring out how to best engage them. Think from their perspective. To serve audience members from across the autism spectrum, plus others needing sensory accommodation, the Fort Wayne Civic Theater developed special performances as part of Project Lights Up, specifically modified to provide a sensory-friendly atmosphere for these individuals. How did they prepare to meet this community's unique needs? By working in partnership with direct service groups, they understood the community's needs, and the theater responded. For 3 dedicated special performances, they adjusted the theater to have brighter house lights during the performances, they decreased the sound levels and eliminated sudden noises, and they offered special rooms to retreat if needed or release some energy. By working with this community, Civic Theater was able to understand and address their specific audience needs. They broadened their capacity as an organization, they expanded their audience, and they deepened their impact. And the autism community felt valued, respected, and welcome. Remember, you are probably already doing this in some ways. Think about what you are already doing as part of your process that engages the community, and make sure to tell us about it in your grant applications. An outsider's perspective can help too, so if you're struggling to figure out how you do this, talk to someone from your board or a peer or a collaborator. They may have some insights you can use. And of course, you can always call your regional arts partner or the IAC. We're here to help. Now that you have a better idea of what we mean by community engagement, we hope you'll incorporate that into your programming and your work overall. As you review your grant applications, remember the community engagement piece. We are looking for active, two-way, and ongoing relationships between the applicant and the community in the planning, participation, and evaluation of the proposed activities. And we're looking for an effort toward community inclusion, such as ensuring fair access and a diversity of participants, including individuals with disabilities and other underserved populations. We're also asking grant applicants about where they see themselves on the arts community ladder and what it will take to move up to the next rung to deepen community engagement across the state. Visit in.gov/arts for the relevant application deadlines for this year and enjoy the process of engaging with the community. After all, the Indiana Arts Commission wants the arts to thrive in Indiana, because when arts thrive, communities thrive. And when communities thrive, so does Indiana. We can't wait to see your work. Thanks for all you do to make the arts in Indiana great.